Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Marvin's Room. Thank you guys, as always, for joining me once again, wherever you're at in the world. To the new subscribers, welcome to the channel. I wanted to jump on here real quick, man, and talk to you guys about getting versus giving with law of attraction, specifically with a specific person, because I realize a lot of you guys out here, you guys are still trying to be slick and you're still trying to only do these techniques to only get rather than giving. But what you guys have to understand is relationships are a two-way street. It's never always about you, and it's never always about the specific person, okay? And understand that there will be times in a relationship where you guys will need to pick up each other's slack, meaning for 1 or 2 days out of the week, hell, maybe even a week straight, maybe even 2 weeks straight, maybe even longer than that. You just never know. But there may be times in a relationship where you have to be 80% and your partner has to do 20%. And then vice versa. There may be times in a relationship where your partner does the 80% and then you're doing the 20%. But I'm bringing this up to try to explain to you guys that a relationship should, for the most part, be 50-50, right? Meaning both of you guys should be bringing something to the table, whether it's sacrifice, whether it's, money, whether it's, love, whatever the case may be. To me, I feel like personally, a relationship should be even on the balance scale, meaning you guys should do for each other what you do to yourselves, or you should just basically be on the same page about whatever it is or however you guys have agreed to go about your relationship. But I realized a lot of times that's not the case. And I realized most people, one of the people in the relationship, they are always doing more than the other person. And the other person is always doing less. And if that's you, you guys got to understand why that is. Because the universe is all about balance. The universe is all about, okay, it's all about patterns. It's all about staying the same, staying within the flow. Winter, fall, spring, summer, they fall on the same days, same time of year every year. Winter, we all know when winter starts. We know when fall starts. We know when spring starts. We know when summer starts, because it always falls around the same time every year. So it has its order. Nature has its order. The universe has its order. You got to understand, in relationships have their order. So what that means is, if you are the one that's always doing 80% of, whatever the responsibilities in a relationship, meaning you're the one that's always contacting first, you're the one that's always, making the first text or call, or, making the plans, where to go eat, where to go vacation, whatever the case may be, understand that your partner most likely is going to, in a sense, become submissive and kind of get used to that, because you're always doing it, because by nature that has to happen. So if you're always doing 80%, then your partner knows, okay, the other 20% is usually mine. So that's what they're going to tend to gravitate towards, because that's how it's been, because nature needs to balance. So if we're talking even numbers, 100%, 80% is what you're always doing, and then the other 20% is what they're doing. That balances out to 100%. So you guys see what I mean, and see where I'm trying to go with this example on how nature works, and why your relationship can tend to be lopsided in a sense when you want it to be even. And it's because, and a lot of times I personally believe that is because of stuff that you have going on inside of yourself. It's your beliefs. What do you believe about relationships? Do you believe you have to do everything in a relationship? Do you believe you are going to always be the decision maker in the relationship? Do you believe, men or women think a certain way? Men are indecisive, or women are indecisive, or, whatever. It always comes back to you versus you. Whatever beliefs you have inside of yourself about relationships, about men, about women, obviously, as you guys know, that follow this kind of work and that have been following me for a while, you guys know that that's what I always preach. It's always about you versus you, whatever you have going on inside of you. So if you most likely have a belief about relationships, that relationships aren't 50-50, you most likely have grown up with beliefs that you have to be willing to do more and give more in relationships than your partner. And that's exactly why your relationships are the way they are. And that's why they continue to go that way until you change it and get to the bottom and peel back those layers and say, okay, this is why I got this in the past. Okay, this is why I have this now. Where do I have to tweak? You know, the answers are always there when you go back and peel out the layers, meditate, let the answers come to you. Don't worry and stress about it. Just let it naturally flow. The answers always come to you. And this ties in strictly with getting versus giving, because I also think a lot of times while you guys, a lot of people are in selfish situations in relationships and they feel like they're not getting any pushback from their specific person, is because you think in your mind, you're telling yourself you are a giver. In your mind, you're telling yourself, oh, I'm great at giving to my specific person, or I'm great at giving to this or that, whatever the case may be. But when you peel back the layers, you have to ask yourself, under the surface, what is the real underlying cause? Under the surface, you may be being an overgiver or an over contactor out of fear, worry, anxiety, etc. So if you are giving a lot to your specific person, but you're not getting a lot back, you don't think, you got to ask yourself and pay attention to, and get your awareness up and pay attention to, okay, underneath the surface, am I really giving from a place of pure love, pure bliss? Am I really following that? Because if you're really following that, the universe knows, like I told you guys before in one of my other videos, you can't lie to the universe. You can lie to yourself, you can lie to other people, but the universe knows your vibration. It knows what you're feeling, what you're thinking, all of that good stuff, you know? So it's going to give you more of that because, again, you can't lie to it. So on the surface, you may be thinking, oh, I'm texting my SP because I love them, or I'm calling them because I love them. I really do want to check on them. But underneath the surface, you're really doing that out of fear and anxiety that they're going to leave, or you're really doing that only because you want them to give to you or to love you more. You see what I'm saying? So it's still that get versus giving, because most of us, we're using the laws to try to get instead of give, because the real definition of giving, the real definition of unconditional love is a person doing something expecting nothing back, absolutely nothing back. But most people, what we do when we give with motives. We give expecting to get something back. And that's when love turns into conditional love instead of unconditional love. And I believe a lot of times that's one of the big reasons why people don't get what they want in manifesting a specific person, or a new specific person, or a current one, or a myriad of other things, is because you're trying to get instead of give. And you're trying to over contact out of fear and anxiety and worry and all of that good stuff. So I want you guys to really ask yourself today, could this be hindering your manifestations? Could this be hindering, you getting your specific person back? Are you really underneath the surface trying to get rather than just trying to give? Because when you give without expectation, that is the purest form of giving. And that's when the universe will bless you. For instance, giving money to somebody homeless. If you're giving money to somebody that's homeless because they need it, that's totally different versus giving someone that's homeless money because or you think, you're like, oh yeah, you're doing it only because you want the universe to give it back to you. That's selfish versus the first way I said is unselfish. You're really giving that money to the homeless person because they need it. You're not giving it to them because you want the universe to bless you tenfold. I hope you guys really understand what I'm saying when I use this example, because there's a lot of people out there that are trying to use these laws, like I said, to get instead of to give. And I think personally, this is a huge blocking point to manifesting anything. It's because your motives aren't there. Your motives aren't real, and the universe has to balance it out. The universe is like a balance beam. If the scales are tipped this way, then the universe is going to try to do whatever it can to balance it out, so that it's even, because that's what the universe is all about. Yin and yang, flow, wu wei, the art of non-action, So if you're over contacting, understand that 90% of the time, 80% of the time, if you're that person that's over contacting or over giving because you think you're really giving, but you're only doing it to try to get, or you're out of fear, understand your person, your partner is going to submit to that because by law, by universal law and by nature, it needs to balance out. So if you're doing all of the work over here, wondering why your partner's down here, not coming up here to meet you, they're staying down here because by law they have to keep everything balanced. Because if you're doing 90, then they only need to do 10%. If you're doing 80%, then they only need to do 20%. If you're doing 70%, then they need to do 30%. If you're doing 60%, then they do 40%. When you do 50%, then they do 50%. Now the scales are turning. Now they're doing 60% and you're only doing 40. Now they're doing 70% and you're only doing 30%. Now they're doing 80%, you're only doing 20%. You guys see where I'm going? The universe is all about balance. So if you want to get into a balanced relationship, you got to make sure you're thinking, talking and speaking in a balanced way and not being that over contactor with your specific person. Because if you are, or overdoing with your specific person, because if you are, then again, these are the results you can expect. You know, it's always if you don't like those results, then obviously what you have to do, it's telling you got to go inside and you got to change something internally. It's always about you. All right, guys, I just want to jump on here real quick. Hopefully you got some information, valuable information from this video. I always love coming on here making these videos for you guys. And as always, I will see you guys in the next YouTube. Thank you.